Uhler and Moats are on the air. This is the Steelers Blitz on your 24/7 home of the black and gold. SNR, Steelers Nation Radio.
What's going on, Steelers Nation Radio? It is high noon on a Thursday afternoon. That can only mean one thing. It's time to go inside the Electric Factory here on Steelers Nation Radio. It is the Steelers Blitz on the Steelers Audio Network. Wes Uhler, Arthur Moats, you already know the drill. A decade of NFL experience, a really good head of hair, and as always, as we roll into April here, we're not fooling. We have plenty to get to. What's up, Moatsy? How we doing, partner?
Man, feeling good, feeling great, exciting time of the year, man. You said every time I feel like, all right, football's about to go away, it's about to get quiet. Nope, we get another move. Up every time I think, all right, there's nothing left exciting until the draft. Nope, we got Mr. Rooney speaking on Aaron Rodgers. I mean, every time I think it's about to end, every time I think we, get into that dead period, nope. Shout out to Big Ben. Shout out to the content guys. So we do appreciate you all from the heart.
Yes, no doubt. And we are, 3 weeks from the first day, the first round of the NFL draft, as you and I sit here right now with, hey, certainly more answers that we had than, when the season ended in January. Probably even a couple more answers than we had, when the combine began in late February. The Steelers have made a few significant free agent signings. They also made a big splash trade for DK Metcalf. So we have more answers now than we did in January and in February. But there's still plenty of questions, and the biggest one still looming is Aaron Rodgers, obviously. So let's go ahead and, as our sensei Brian would say, let's dive right into the meat of the conversation, right? No need to wait for it. We are still waiting on Aaron Rodgers, and still, I think everyone feeling like an inevitable conclusion ends with him in black and gold, but nothing is guaranteed until it is, even despite. I was laughing with you before we started recording. Jonathan Jones, who covers the NFL for CBS, he said this morning, I think it was, or maybe last night, that he guarantees Aaron Rodgers is going to be a Pittsburgh Steeler. But then you have some people that have, been within the white lines and have been within the locker room and have been in these type of negotiations and moments and decision-making times, like yourself. Somebody like Ben Roethlisberger, formerly of this parish as well,
Shout out to Seven.
Who thinks that Aaron Rodgers might still be holding on for the Minnesota Vikings, waiting to see if something changes there.
Hold on for who? Who you say was holding on for?
The Minnesota Vikings.
Hello, Lizzo. Even in the offseason, girl, you still got it going on. Shout out.
There have been some rumors and maybe some smoke around the idea that J.J. McCarthy isn't as healthy as they want him to be, or might have had a setback in there as well, too. So, again, never ending. Everything that I just mentioned there isn't exactly new information. I think the Ben Roethlisberger quote and him saying, let me give you that exact quote, I think Aaron is secretly still holding out for Minnesota, which is why he hasn't signed with the Steelers. Why else would you go throw with DK and be working out and blast it to everybody that I'm throwing with these guys, but you still won't sign? End quote there from Ben Roethlisberger. So, Arthur Moats, here we are once again. Not a new week because it's the end of the week actually, but a new month, and we are still on Aaron Rodgers' watch. Do you feel that we are any closer to a conclusion as we sit here today?
Listen, I woke up a couple days ago on April Fool's Day, and I thought maybe I will be fooled into him actually making a decision today. Maybe this is the day that he makes his official announcement. And then I got to looking at the calendar, and I started looking at the content schedule. And then I started looking at world tours, or who's just on tour and who's a big name and who has a big brand and who happens to have relationships with the guy that we're waiting on. And all things just seem to be pointing in the direction that we could be getting a decision about a week from now, So for me, as we currently sit here, I am in the treading water of very, very hopeful, cautiously optimistic. But if it's not done by the McAfee show that will be taking place at PPJ Arena next week, then yeah, I'm losing all hope. I'm just throwing it out there right now. I said, if not then I don't know when, because when is it going to be the perfect moment like that. And not just for Rodgers, for the organization, for McAfee. Why? And let me break it down. When the season ended, Mr. Rooney said what? He said the two quarterbacks that are priorities, the two guys that I want coming back, one or the other, I don't think we'll be able to get both, Justin Fields or Russell Wilson. And up until free agency actually opened up, that was still the messaging, right? Even at the combine. To the point that people made it seem like you were, foolish to even have a heart for Russell Wilson returning because it was just this foregone conclusion that Justin Fields was coming back. Deal done. So we fall flat on our face with Justin Fields. We obviously fall flat on our face with Russ after he reacts to it, that he reacts to it as well. And now you're stuck with the waiting game of Aaron Rodgers. And all of us, to a certain degree, have grown fatigued with the waiting game, with the theatrics that Aaron Rodgers brings. And this is with him not even being under contract with us. So when you think about where we are in an entertainment perspective, man, morale is down right now. A lot of questions about the organization. They got billboards and all this other nonsense trying to just show their frustrations, right? Okay, well, what better way than to, burp the baby a little bit than by saying, all right, Rodgers, we know you want to be here. We know your credit isn't the best right now out there. Everything that happened with the Jets. We know, obviously, Steelers Nation is looking at you kind of funny because of the prima donna / diva that kind of comes with being a 4-time MVP, Super Bowl champ, arguably one of the greatest quarterbacks to ever play this game. Comes with it. So if you want to get your good graces, why not go on one of the biggest shows that also goes against the people that you don't like? We know you don't like Schefter. We remember that. Lose my number. I know you don't respect Rappaport. The only person that seems to have a connection is Diana Rossini. And I don't think you're dropping the story through her. So to me, I'm like, McAfee's been your guy for the past 3.5, going on 4 years now since you were in Green Bay. And all your big announcements, all your big moments have come on his show. He just had LeBron up there a week ago. And we all know how he feels about the machine that is ESPN, or more importantly, the corporate element of it. And from the Steelers perspective, man, not only do I get a chance to, get a big pop, get a national audience, also connect with my quarterback, obviously connecting with McAfee, who's right up the road, West Virginia, but I'm also giving my fan base, I'm also giving the city a glimpse of what we're going to be doing a year from now when we have the NFL draft here as well. It's only getting bigger. It's only getting better. So why not take advantage of all of this? And that's why for me, I'm putting all my hope eggs in that basket, because outside of April 1st, I said, man, what other day was he going to do it? He doesn't strike me as the type to just randomly do it on Friday. He's not going to do it when nobody's talking about it. I feel like he wants to be the main event, the main attraction when it's time. And what other place, what other scene, what other stage where you get to control the narrative, you get to control the theatrics, and you might mess around and have Coach Tomlin pull up. You might have Mr. Rooney pull up just because it's you.
Cam Hayward.
Come on now. You see what I'm saying? Like, I think of all of that, and just because with the NFL, yes, it is a sport, but it's also a business, and there's also the entertainment business, and all of that goes into the same industry, man. So I think of all of that big picture wise, and I mean, I don't feel like I'm foolish to think that Aaron Rodgers is also a schemer, that he likes to play stuff out like that as well.
You've said many times in the 7-8 years that we've done this show, don't let any of these guys tell you they don't like the attention, okay? They all like the attention.
Everybody like it. Who doesn't want to feel like, hey, man, pat you on the back, you're doing great? Who doesn't want to hear that? Who doesn't want to feel that big pop of, oh, my God, it's him? There is no better feeling. I can tell you because I've experienced it. It feels great. Yep. It's no different than when that person that you've always looked up to says, good job. Or that person that looks up to you and they say, hey, man, I'm proud of everything that you've done and everything you've accomplished, the way that you make me feel. It's not an arrogant thing. It's not an ego thing. It's not a pride thing, but it's literally just a human nature part of man. You want to feel appreciated. And to that degree, it's just amplified because of the thousands upon thousands, or in some cases, millions upon millions of people, that are fans of this game or fans of a particular person. But for him, man, yes, he's going to enjoy that feeling. And what better place to get that live and in person in a sold out arena? Sold out. Come on now.
So you and I have referenced this a couple times on the show. This is not the first time we brought this up. Tuesday, what would the exact day be? Is it April 8th, I think? Mm-hmm. Pat McAfee is doing a live show at PPG Paints Arena. They've sold, like 18,000 tickets for it, sold out in Pittsburgh. Tuesday night, so about 5 days from now, as you and I record this.
Tuesday night, they're going downtown.
Downtown at the paint can. And I will admit, when we first brought this up 2 weeks ago and then mentioned it again last week, I was a
So far
little
away.
I was a little cynical. You know what I mean? I was like, yeah, that sounds good. He's gonna wait till then, and they're gonna announce it on the. He'll either show up in Pittsburgh,
And the Steelers are going to be okay with waiting that long too, right?
Steelers are gonna, like it's not gonna leak out all these different things. I was a little cynical, but I'm starting to believe as we get closer and closer that there is a very real possibility that that's going to happen.
He doesn't do traditional media. He doesn't rock with Shefty. He doesn't rock with Rappaport. Like,
doesn't
those
want
are
those
the
guys breaking the story. You're absolutely right. He also, I do think he has a Twitter account and an Instagram account and that type of thing, but he's not super social media active. So I don't see him being the type of guy who would just put a statement out by himself. Yeah. Like, I've decided to sign with the Pittsburgh, put out one of those graphics. It's like when guys enter the transfer portal type thing. I don't see him doing that either. So it does feel like a real possibility. And we also know with the backdrop of, listen, I sit on two sides of this. The one is Aaron Rodgers did this with Devontae Adams, right? It was like there was all this hype of like, could something happen on the McAfee show? And it did. I also got burned by this a couple months ago when WVU was hiring a new football coach, and all signs pointed to the fact that it was going to be Rich Rodriguez, Pat McAfee's old football coach. I was tuned in for 2 straight days of the McAfee show. Like, at some point, Rich Rodriguez is going to pop on the FaceTime here, wear the WVU hat or something like that. And
my dog had the day going. He had the computer up and everything. We in the studio. I'm like, hey, bro, I don't think you can make that announcement, bro.
We're in the studio doing the show, and I just have the McAfee show on mute to just see if Rich Rodriguez pops on at some point. So,
hey, I like your fight though, bro. You had mad heart with it. I like it.
So I will admit it's worked out before in the Aaron Rodgers Devontae Adams thing. It didn't happen with the Rich Rodriguez thing. I was way more on the cynical side a week or two ago with this. Now I think like climbing over the fence and getting firmly on the I think there's a real chance that this happens side.
The other thing, you ready for the other part though, right?
Yeah, go ahead.
You also heard Mr. Rooney say, I'm willing to wait a little bit longer. Everybody else was questioning his patience. Everybody else was questioning how long are they waiting, but he's already said it. Hey, man, wait a little bit longer. So to me, I'm like, you don't say that unless you're really willing to wait a little bit longer. And a little bit longer, let's be real, a week is a little bit longer. 2 weeks realistically is a little bit longer. I think if you start anything past 2 weeks, it's hot zone. We way too close to the draft now. Way too close. You flying too close to the sun, man. You're gonna get burnt a little bit, man. You know the drill.
you absolutely can.
Yeah, you can't play that close now. Like we have changed the way that we conduct business with free agents, right? In terms of the handling of Aaron Rodgers, the patience, the allowing him to drive the ship, the ability to allow him to basically put our free agency moves at quarterback on hold. Mm-hmm. On hold exclusively because of Rodgers. If Rodgers had signed with the Giants the first week of free agency, we're not having this convo. We've signed 2 quarterbacks by now. Mm-hmm. But the reality is, because we have a chance and we're going big game hunting, sometimes you got to sit out there a little bit longer. My hunters know that. Sometimes, man, you don't get to just go to the little shallow part and be like, all right, man, I'm kind of in the woods, man. Let me go get this one and get up out of here. Or, all right, man, I stick out my sand in the toes. Let me go get this big fish. No, players, sometimes you really got to get out there in the thick of it. Where it's a little nasty.
You got to sit up in the tree stand for a couple days, man.
What Coach T said, man, you better get comfortable being uncomfortable, man. You better get real comfortable in this process. We up here right now, it's nasty. It's done rained on us, West. It done mudded on us. It done got a little cold out here. Food running a little low. Phone battery getting a little light. We over here like, all right, now, how you feeling? You gonna blink? And I'm like, nah, baby, we got it. I see him walking over there right now. It's almost time. All right, hey, I see that. We got a little bit of movement on that rod over there. Now just keep waiting on it. Just keep waiting. Got a little bit of movement. It's about to be, but don't jump the gun. If you walk away too soon, you could miss out on a big game. And everybody knows, man, nothing like that big game, baby. So right now we big game hunting. It's easy to get some of the less than prospects, right? no disrespect to Mason Rudolph or Skylar Thompson, but those are what we consider big game at this level. Do they have the potential to develop into that? Yes. And I'm a firm believer that, man, as long as you're alive and you're, healthy, you got a chance to get better, right? Each and every day you got to get a chance to get better. But to this point, we haven't seen them get to the level of Aaron Rodgers, or from my personal perspective, even close to the level of Aaron Rodgers. So with that, we are going to treat them, and even with their nice contracts, I mean, Mason Rudolph got a nice deal. But even with that contract, there is levels to what we are trying to accomplish. There are levels to what we are trying to acquire from a personnel standpoint to help fill out this roster, because outside of quarterback, you can't sit here and tell me a definitive hole that we have on our roster right now. Running back, we have a Jalen Warren and a Kenneth Gainwell that can go out there and play right now. At wide receiver, we have a DK, a GP, a Calvin Austin, and a Roman Wilson. At tight end, you have a Pat Frymouth and a Darnell Washington. At offensive line, first round left tackle from 2 years ago, first round right tackle from a year ago, Super Bowl appearance / highly paid free agent left guard, a fourth round right guard who started 10 plus games last year, and an all-world second round center from West Virginia University who only lost, I think, like 2 matches in his whole high school wrestling career, and one was because and pretty much one was because he decapitated the guy with his bare hands, and it was just too gory for the moms and dads that they had to like DQ him. It happens, all right? It happens. But when you think of that, it's like offensively, we feel great. Defensively, Minkah Fitzpatrick, Deshaun Elliott, Darius Slay, Joey Porter Jr. Okay, you want to talk to me about linebackers? All right, Patrick Queen, Peyton Wilson, Malik Harrison, maybe you want to add there. Still doesn't scream pressing need, though. Oh, TJ Watt, best in the world. Oh, let's see, you got Alex Highsmith, and then you got Nick Herbig. Well. We can add to it if you want to, but I think we feel kind of great about that room right now. And then, okay, you got Cam Hayward. Yeah. Killer Cam.
Gold jacket.
Okay. Oh, Keanu Ben. I got you. Maybe it's Keanu. We feel uncomfortable about Keanu Ben. That's what it is. Or maybe it's the Montravius Adams who started for us. Isaiah Loudermilk who's played a lot for us. Like Dean Lowry who's played for us. We have personnel. So once again, as we're sitting here, it's like, what are we tripping on all the way? Quarterback. So I think, man, at the position that we're in right now, it doesn't hurt us to wait on it. But at the same time, like I said, man, we do know we have to get that answer. We have to find that answer. And while we big game hunting, man, we have positioned ourselves really nicely. Hopefully we get the bear and the bear doesn't get us, because that also happens when you go out there hunting every time. All right. Sometimes you get the bear. Sometimes the bear will get you. So we're going to see how this plays out. But this is a big bear right here now. This is a big one. And he's ornery. He's very grumpy. All right. He could be real cantankerous. And he'll take his ball and go home. All right. So be careful with him, because he will walk that ball into that cave and never come back. And I don't think he would second guess it either. All right. So you got to be careful about him. But you also know if you get that big bear, oh, man, what we could do with that one. Oh, man. So here we are.
Sometimes you get the bull, sometimes you get the horns.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll wait a little bit longer, but not forever, but a little while longer. The exact quote from Mr. Rooney. So my follow-up for you, Arthur Moats, is with that in mind, not forever, but a little while longer. If we make it to Tuesday, if the Pat McAfee show happens, starts, concludes, no Aaron Rodgers, then what? We'll talk about that when we return on the other side. Wes Uhler, Arthur Moats. You are listening to the Steelers Blitz on Steelers Nation Radio on the Steelers Audio Network. Back on the Blitz here as Aaron Rodgers' watch continues. So I asked the question before we went to break, Arthur Moats. If we get to Tuesday, I do believe, was I correct there in saying that's April 8th? I got the calendar right here. Yes, Tuesday, April 8th, which I believe is the Pat McAfee big night out. And no news from Aaron Rodgers. Not that he's signing with the Steelers or that he's going elsewhere by that point either. Then what?
For me, it's simple.
What?
Yeah, for me, it's simple, man. I told you, after the McAfee show, if that's not a done deal by them, now I'm focusing on which quarterback I want to take in the draft. Do I want to move up in the draft to get this quarterback? Is there somebody that I feel confident waiting until the third round to get? Do I trade back in the first, pick up an additional second, and take a quarterback there? But whatever the process that the Steelers feel the most comfortable with is the approach that I'm putting all of my focus into going forward. And that becomes regardless of if Aaron Rodgers calls me and says he wants to sign after the fact, that's cool. I still might sign him, but I'm still going to be going forward with my plan of drafting a quarterback.
Sure.
The first pick. I do not care because I can't trust you. And if I can't trust you, how can I plan? If I can't plan, how can I get the best out of my group? Because planning for a season with Rodgers is fun because of how talented he is and what that does to the others around you. So you're able to highlight his strengths while also minimizing a lot of other potential weaknesses. But there's multiple ways to win, and we've been proving that in the post-Ben Roethlisberger era. We win a lot even without seven. Why? Because we have ample time to plan and strategize ways to win without having the highest level of production at the quarterback position. You look at the analytics and they support it. We're a team that does a great job of taking care of the football, playing defense, and forcing teams into turnovers. That's what we do. That's our bread and butter. We know that method would still work the exact same way with Mason Rudolph or a rookie at quarterback. So we are not frightful or fearful of that. But if we don't plan accordingly for that, then yeah, it's going to have us looking out of place because now we're not going to be able to properly minimize weaknesses and highlight strengths for our roster. So that's why for me, after the next week, I'm like, man, enough is enough. You either want to or you don't want to. Very similar to what Cam Hayward said, because now you are slowing up the process of our team preparing for 2025. When we're talking about schematics, when we're talking about OTAs, when we're talking about mini camps, we don't have time to just keep waiting on you because right now, what do you think these coaches are doing? They are trying to come up with the schemes for the season. You think that happens in September? Hey, look, you think they wait until training camp? You think OTAs is the first time they go into their little notebook and drop some plays and say, hey, guys, here you go. I've created this just for you guys. No, that happens now.
Well,
and the longer you wait to figure out your quarterback,
they don't get the off season off. They're not, yeah.
Come on now,
not like school, like not a school teacher. Just go for a couple months.
So look, the longer they wait to figure out the quarterback position, the longer it takes for them to properly scheme up what they want to do at that position. Because there is a drastic difference between Aaron Rodgers at quarterback and Mason Rudolph at quarterback. Just in terms of your approach, how aggressive you're going to be, certain play calls you're going to call due to the above the neck element, along with just the overall physical abilities difference. But the longer I have to wait on you, the less time I have to do that. And that's ultimately why, for me, I would be taking that approach and moving forward with that plan and just saying, hey, if he signs, he signs. If not, cool. And we're going forward. And low key, because I'm personally a little bit more of I don't want to call it petty. I'm just, once I move on, I move on. So it's like, man, whatever the offer was, I'm instantly knocking off $5 million off of whatever that deal was, just off the simple fact you made me wait this long. And now I feel some type of way about you. So, yeah.
And I was just going to say, too, like yesterday's, you and I have joked many times on the history of this show, yesterday's price is not today's price. Mm-hmm. That's also a two-way street, though. That's a lot of times we talk about it like it's a one-way street, but that does go both ways because most of the time we're talking about the Dallas Cowboys are doing it again with Micah Parsons when they just did it with CeeDee Lamb and Dak Prescott. Why don't you get this contract done sooner? And because the longer you kick that can down the road, yesterday's price is not today's price. But that is also a two-way street. It can work both ways for some of these guys if maybe they hold their cards too long and all of a sudden they don't have the hand that they thought that they had previously. So that is what we're continuing to wait on. That is what we will continue to see. But yes, I am with you. There's always a possibility that we'll get some news in the next 4 or 5 days before the Pat McAfee show in Pittsburgh. But if we don't get any news, by this time next week, by Wednesday, Thursday next week, I will start to, I think you gotta maybe not move on in terms of completely closing that door, but move on in how you're operating at least.
You gotta know when to hold them. Know when to fold them.
You fold them on the Aaron Rodgers hand and you start playing the next hand.
Away. Know when to run. Never count your eye now.
We'll be doing some running away from this one.
That's all I'm saying, bro. Yeah.
Also, one of the guys, it's funny how, this whole ecosystem of the NFL and particularly the quarterback situation, quarterback position in a lot of ways, different dominoes fall that affect other situations. Another name that we had talked about around Steelers circles and interest in quarterback conversations had been Joe Milton, of course, of the New England Patriots. They are
We love you, Joe.
they are going all in on Drake May after what he was able to show in some spurts his rookie season. And they have another young, talented quarterback in Joe Milton as well, too. Well, that is now off the board as an option that some like to bring up, as the Dallas Cowboys have traded a fifth-round draft pick to the New England Patriots for the services of Joe Milton. Original ask, I believe, from the Patriots was a third-rounder. He ends up going for a fifth-rounder, Arthur Moats. And again, too, I don't want to try and draw a direct parallel like some have of this with the Steelers, but it is, I think, fair to at least say, here's another potential name that you thought was available, avenue that could have been explored, that is now gone as well, too, as that quarterback road continues to narrow.
I mean, if you were a Joe Milton fan, you feel like you missed out. I don't like those type of quarterbacks right now, personally, so I do not, have a lot of negative emotions towards us not trading for Joe Milton. I know some people
it's just another domino that's fallen now,
Yeah, but for some people, man, they look at the Joe Miltons, they look at the Anthony Richardsons, and they're intrigued by them. They're intrigued by the thought process that, if those guys can develop, you have the Cam Newton, the unicorn. But my rebuttal is, how many Cam Newtons have there been? And there's a reason for that. And so, to me, like I said, I'm glad we passed up on him personally,
trying to
man.
find the next Cam Newton for a long time.
I'm personally glad we passed up on it, because I just think that we would have been doing the whole, all right, let's hype him up, talk about him, really excited. And then we're talking about, why will he hit the routine slant? Why wouldn't he hit the routine comeback? Why wouldn't he anticipate this dig? But he takes off for 30 yards and we feel excited about it. Like, I don't know. I'm not really feeling that right now, personally.
No.
So I'm good on him. I do hope he develops it. If he does develop, then, different conversation. But for me, I don't want to stomach their development process, because it typically includes a lot of bad football, a lot of turnovers, whether you're talking through the air or putting the ball on the ground. And it's just really hard to win with that. It's hard to win when guys turn the football over a lot. And typically those big unicorn type guys that have high level athleticism, but a high learning curve that they're going to have to, be able to make up ground on in order to play at this level, at the varsity level, at least. Awesome. Yeah, it's just not a lot of data that supports those guys developing in a timely fashion. And this is a results-based league. All it takes is one bad season and you'll get fired. Period. There is no rebuild. There is no, we're going to take time to, hey, Dan Campbell, just wait on it. Yeah, for every Dan Campbell, let me tell you about all these other guys that got. Hey, Steve Wilkes. Okay. Yeah. Oh, okay. So here we are, man. Here we are. But shout out to Joe Milton, though, man. I wish he was going to the Browns, man, low key.
Why the Browns got enough quarterbacks? Why the Browns?
Because I like to play against Joe Milton. I like to play against these type of quarterbacks. They're fun to play against. All right. Fun to play against. Don't really like him as your guy. But I would love to play against him.
I would say Cleveland has a nice lineup of quarterbacks that I would like to play against right now. But that is another conversation for another day. And maybe they'll add one in the draft. We'll see. Very interesting. Speaking of the draft, I do want to do some draft talk in hour number 2 with Arthur Moats. When we return on the other side, though, a couple more. We touched on some of these earlier in the week, but a couple more of the rule proposals. One that was put out there, proposed by the Pittsburgh Steelers, that now has a resolution as well, too. Kind of maybe cross some final T's and dot some final I's from the NFL owners meetings to wrap up the first hour of the program. When we return on the other side, Wes Uhler, Arthur Moats. It is Steelers Nation Radio on the Steelers Audio Network. Wrapping up the first hour of the Steelers Blitz here. We will get to some tweets in hour number 2. You know where to get at us if you want to get involved. We're talking about the Twitter.com. We're talking about X, at Wesley Uhler, at TheBody52.
The Body.
Moatsy, one of the things that you and I also discussed in the lead up to owners meetings that we now have a resolution on was a proposal made by the Steelers to allow for Zoom calls or phone calls during the legal tampering period. I'm sloppily saying this. Let me state this again. The Steelers' proposal to allow for Zoom calls and phone calls during the legal tampering period, the contact period before free agency, and for visits to be lined up ahead of the league year, that passed. Okay? So, we discussed this. We talked about this, like I said, a week or two ago. Talk to me about how significant you think this is. Like I saw Albert Breer, who, the Monday morning quarterback, pretty significant NFL journalist, who said he thought that this would be a significant change, would bring a significant change to free agency. So this ability now to have Zoom calls, phone calls, to set up your visits, to get those lined up a few days earlier ahead of the start of the new league year. Arthur Moats, as somebody who's gone through those times and those negotiations and those periods during your decade of NFL experience, very significant.
Hold on. I was going to ask. Hold on. Let me ask you, just to make sure I'm hearing it right. Is it just to set up like logistics, or are they actually able to talk and have a meeting just via Zoom?
It's a very good question.
I thought they could actually like have an actual meeting versus just the logistics of, hey man, you coming in to fly or not? You know what I mean? Like, I thought that's what they were asking. I just want to make sure I got that right though, just to be safe.
Yeah, let's see here. Regarding contact with free agents during the negotiation window, passed on a 1-year trial basis. Clubs now can have one video or phone call with no more than 5 prospective free agents and to book
that's what I thought.
Travel upon agreeing to terms.
Yeah, okay, so different. Yeah, you're actually able to have a meeting. So, yeah, the way I interpreted it, man, was it is significant because outside of now, the way that it's shifted to, you don't talk to your employer. Man, you negotiate these deals and the deal is done before you even talk, meet, see anybody. I mean, I remember having a deal with Atlanta. Man, I ain't talked to them not once. I'm talking to my agent and I'm at dinner and it's just like, all right, tell them no to this. All right, tell them yes to that. Tell them no to this. Tell them yes to that. And then it's like, all right, great. We agreed to the deal. Still wouldn't talk to nobody because technically you couldn't have contact until that Monday or whatever day it was supposed to be. And then from there, it's like, all right, now you're going to randomly get on a flight. And the first time you touch down, go through your medical, you pass your medical, you're going to sign your contract. And now you're there employed fully. No ifs, ands, or buts, no change of your mind. So I like it for both parties, man. For the coaching staff, for the owners, they're going to get a chance. The general managers, they're going to get a chance to actually talk to these players in person, or not in person, but at least talk to them face to face and have a dialogue with them versus, all right, let me text with your agent. I'll talk to your agent on the phone. We'll negotiate the details of it. And then you're just going to randomly pop up here, whatever. And now you're here. Welcome. Hey, can't wait to finally talk to you, meet you. You're like, hey, I hope this works out. It's a lot of money involved. So, that's why I'm here. But I hope it works out, guys. Like, I've never talked to you before a day of my life. And that was, part of what I was feeling even, when I had got the deal initially to go to Atlanta. Now, we obviously know that shifted and I was able to stay here. But largely due to the fact that the Steelers were able to have me come in for a face-to-face meeting. Mm-hmm. If we don't talk face-to-face or we don't even have a Zoom call, it's like, man, what are we talking about? And you're gone. Everything changes. And I wonder, if you look back and it's like, man, if I would have got a chance to talk to the Atlanta Falcons, if I got a chance to talk to the ownership, talk to the coaching staff, have that, oh man, this is what you personally feel. I'm not having to play telephone and hear it from my agent and how he's telling me. And you know how things get lost in translation. So it's like, man, his interpretation of what you're telling me might be very different than what I receive when I talk to you guys. And that's the type of information that I think is important. And the same goes for ownership, man. When you're over there about to make this decision, man, what if you don't like how this guy is? When you talk to him as a person, you just don't mesh with him. I would like to get a chance to know that before I agree to this deal in principle. And now this guy flies all the way down here for the introductions and all this other stuff. And now we're like, yeah, it's kind of weird. It's not really a fit. I mean, because it's not realistic. You wouldn't even go sign for a job like that pays to that level. Heck no, you're going to interview. You're going to take multiple trips. You're going to drive around the city. You're going to see the school district, man.
Uproot your life.
Come on, man.
You've never been.
Yeah, you're gonna check out the schools. You're gonna see where you want to live at. You're gonna talk to the. Let me drive around this time. Let me see what's. No, with free agency, it's literally, man. You're sitting wherever you're sitting. That text, bop, 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 bop. All right, your flight's tomorrow. You're like, whoo, what? It happens just like that, man.
Like you said, sometimes you got to take a flight to just take a
Yeah.
flight, get a little sense of
All
urgency
right.
for some other parties.
Seriously, man. Seriously, that's how it works sometimes, man. You got to have a dance partner. And I'm just glad that my dance partner provoked my real dance partner to actually, say, all right, we want to keep you. We don't want you to go nowhere else, all right? Because sometimes that don't work and you really just be out here like, dang, all right, I guess I do got to go now. Hello, Arizona.
I was going to say, you might be doing Falcons radio or Cardinals
Yeah.
radio. I'll give you this. I mean, the weather would have been an improvement, but you would have
subjective,
never,
bro.
you would have
That's
never got to,
subjective,
you would have never
bro.
gotten to do nearly a show, a decade of shows with the good hair. So I mean, what's really more
Listen,
important?
man. Listen, you haven't been in Arizona in July and August, man.
That's a very good
I
point.
really challenge you on this good weather. I really challenge you on that if you're out there doing that time of year, man.
You know, and it's funny you say that. I saw this thing. It was like I don't even remember where I saw this, but it was a packet of like funny misnomers, lies
Hmm.
about state. Right? Like Georgia is the peach state, but it doesn't actually
Hmm.
produce
Have
the
peaches.
most
Yeah,
peaches. I think Florida produces more peaches than
correct.
Georgia
Yep.
does.
Yep.
Florida is the sunshine state, but Arizona actually gets
Gets
more
more. Uh-huh.
sunshine. I think it's
Yes.
California maybe actually that produces more peaches
Cali
than
and
Georgia.
AZ.
Now that I'm
Oh, yeah, yeah, listen.
California,
Okay.
if it's any question about agriculture, with few
You can't go wrong with
exceptions, it's
California, bro.
mostly California. Yeah.
Can't go wrong with California.
Except for like corn and like one or two other things. Almost all of it still comes from California. But like, yeah, Georgia's the peach state, doesn't even produce the most peaches. Florida's the sunshine state, doesn't even get the most sunshine.
Seriously.
Arizona does, which sounds like a cool, good thing until it's 107 degrees out for 6 weeks straight.
If it's 107, you're thanking the Lord. It'd be 127 at 10 o'clock at night. Like, that's what you don't understand, bro. Like, I will never forget that experience. It's like, yeah, why is it like this? This is dry
Last
heat. It's oven. Turn it up. Everybody that wants to know what Arizona dry heat feels like, I will tell you the same thing I've told everybody since I've first landed in Arizona at 10 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Turn your oven on as high as it can go. Just turn it up as high as it can go. Okay. Then I want you to open up the oven. Okay. Open it up. Don't put your head on the grate, but just put your face in front of it. Just don't touch anything. I don't want you to burn yourself. Don't touch anything, but just put your face in front of it. And you tell me what that feels like. It's still going to feel very hot. It's going to be very uncomfortable. Yeah, it's going to make you sweat. It's going to burn your tablets if you leave them in the car for too long. Yeah, if you park your car where the sun is located at and you don't have one of them shades on your front windshield, good luck for your seats. Good luck for your dash. Good luck for anything that is in that vehicle, man. No exaggerations, man. That's what it feels like. So yeah. I will gladly. I love LOVEEEE Pittsburgh weather. You will never hear me complain about it. Snow. I've lived in Buffalo. No, you will never catch me complaining about any type of snow, cold weather here. Absolute. I love it. Wes, you will never hear me on your side with the weather, bro. I love Pittsburgh weather. And y'all don't got mosquitoes like growing up in Virginia. Come on, man. You ever grown up in the South where they gotta have a mosquito truck just come around?
No, I mean, you know, the furthest south I've ever lived
Oh
in my life is
man.
Morgantown, West Virginia,
Come on, man.
which is only like 80 miles, 70, 80 miles south of where we are right now.
Listen. The mosquito truck would drive through the neighborhood like the ice cream truck. And get inside because he's spraying the bug spray and it doesn't look healthy. It's just, he's watching you like, hey, why is it that just cloud of whatever that is, man? Yeah.
I
But
don't
if
know,
not,
Mosey. After 34 years of snow and winter every year, I might try that out one of these days. I might try that
hey,
out one of these
man.
times.
Hey, that's the beauty of perspective, man. As long as we, see it differently, man, it makes life beautiful. Cause yeah, for everything I complain about, somebody's gonna be like, "Oh, I'll take that." And
Oh no,
for everything that you might complain about, over here, like, "Oh, bro, you crazy? I love it, man. I'll take any of this little snow." About to say, you ever seen 26 inches in an hour?
let's
Ugh.
like you like
Ugh. You ever
if
got sent
there's
home from work and they
if there
say, "Oh, you might want to beat the snow,
one of
otherwise
our
you're gonna be here till tomorrow."
One of our old show isms was that if you there's no such thing as a perfect scheme, because if there was, everybody would run it. Um,
Absolutely.
there's no such thing as a perfect climate, because if there was, everybody would live there. You
You
gotta
know
you're
it.
gonna you're gonna have to give and take somewhere a little
Some people
bit.
love California weather. Then you got the people that are like, I want four seasons. People that live in four seasons, like, I want just consistent sunshine. I don't want to deal with the four seasons.
People in
The
the
ones where it's always
sunshine, like I
raining.
would love some snow.
Come on. I was in AZ. They like, yo, I wish it would rain. I need rain. It's too dry. We can't even water our grass. We're not allowed to use the water. And then you have in Seattle where it rains all the time, Pittsburgh where it rains plenty of times. You're like, yeah, it don't have to rain this much now, bro. We good on this rain, man. Like every place has something. And that's why you just gotta find what makes you the most happy, what brings you the most peace, and just enjoy where you at, man.
That's exactly right. Well said. An hour in the books, another hour to go. We will turn our attention to some NFL draft topics in hour number two. We'll also get to some of your tweets from this week to close down the program as well. So plenty to get to as we're halfway home here. Wesley Uhler, Arthur Moats. It's the Steelers Blitz. Good afternoon, Steelers Nation. How we doing?
Oh, I'm feeling springy.
That's good. Me too. It is a little rainy and overcast, but they do say April showers bring May flowers.
Hey,
So,
hey, hey.
we do know spring is like the Masters is starting soon. Baseball is going here. You know, Pirates season started about a week ago. So those are good signs that that Mr. Sun will.
I mean,
be
we even
appearing
seen
in the
Mr.
sky soon.
Skeens get a dub last night.
How about
Skeens
that?
and O'Neal Crew going yard. Come on now, man.
I guess the home opener is this weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, against the New York Yankees.
Hey, you pulling up? What's up, man?
Maybe.
All right. You think it'd be frowned upon if I pulled up with my two children since my wife taking my oldest out of town? You think I should? That'd be all right? I'm
No,
gonna
in
ask you
fact, I think
first.
that'd be a very nice thing for you to do.
Like, yo, I was just doing some dad stuff. I ain't know. You know what I'm saying? I just
Yeah,
figured y'all was doing a girls trip.
Big
I could
sis
just,
gets
you
to
know
go
what I'm
out of
saying?
town, so I
I'm gonna
figured
just
I'd
take
take
the
the
little
kids
ones.
to
You know
go
what I mean?
see the Pinstripes and the Buccos. You know?
Come on, man. Come on, man. Who doesn't want to go see Aaron Judge? Who doesn't want to go see Paul Skeens, man? Come on, man.
I'm gonna be very fair weather about it. Okay, it's going to literally depend on the weather if I
No,
possibly
big
get out
facts because it's
get
supposed to
out
be
to
like rainy. Yeah.
yeah. And unlike you, I ain't gonna be sitting in the suites with the boxes. Okay, so
Oh my gosh. Can you stop this? Don't you do me like that, man. I sit out with everybody else. Okay. I'm a common man just like everybody else.
But yeah, let's get her going here, Buccos. We know the Penguins. The Penguins ain't gonna be playing in the postseason. And as much as we love the draft and the offseason stuff for the Steelers, we need a little something to sink our teeth into this town. Let's go win some games,
Come
Buccos.
on, Mr. GQ.
Mozi, it is, as I mentioned, draft month. And with that, our loyal listeners, which I think most of the people that still rock and roll with us on the daily, you know, this time of year are certainly loyal listeners. If you are listening to a football show regularly during the football off season, you fall into that category. A few weeks ago, I want to say maybe about 3 weeks ago, you and I did an exercise, and we'll do this again in the coming weeks before we get to the draft, where we drafted as if we were the Steelers at every pick. So if you're the Steelers and you're picking first overall, who are you taking? And on down the list. If you're the Steelers and you're picking seventh overall, who are you taking? And when we had that exercise, obviously it took the majority of our 2 hours of the show, but we had a couple of fun conversations in there that I wrote down and I said that I would save for later. Well, better late than never. I think some of these are still bigger draft questions. It's not like you're going to have to remember what we talked about specifically in that exercise a couple weeks ago. These are all bigger picture draft conversations that I wanted to have with Moats at some point, but that we didn't necessarily want to get into during that exercise for time's sake. So, Arthur Moats, I ask you, I wrote down 3 things from that draft exercise that we did. One was about running back preference. One was about Travis Hunter, and one was about quarterback preference. Those were the 3 things that I wrote down that I wanted to ask you. So, dealer's choice here. Where do you want to go first? Quarterbacks, running backs, or Travis Hunter?
Man, you know I like to talk. Travis. Please.
I love it. All right, so let's start with the quarterbacks. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. We
Man
will
of the
start
people.
with
Man of the
Travis.
people.
We will start with Travis Hunter, and I do think that that is fair because I think he's the most intriguing, interesting prospect in this
I mean, it's
draft.
Travis Hunter, bro. I mean, it's really Travis, bro. Come on, man.
He would be a
It's Travis
first
Hunter.
round defensive back. He would be a first round wide receiver. He's both. He is a unique of a talent as we have seen come out of college football in a long
Yeah.
time, and is an intriguing of a prospect that is not a quarterback in the NFL draft in a long time. So that's what I want to know with you, Mozi, or here's what I want to know from you, Mozi. A lot of conversation about is he a wide receiver? Is he a defensive back? Is he both? How do you proceed with this unique skill set? It's, I guess, maybe same church, different pew as Shohei Ohtani, where the base,
Yeah.
but with the difference of baseball makes it easier to, okay, this guy can pitch once every 5 days, and
Hmm.
still it's a little more naturally built in baseball. As opposed to a sport like football, where we just know he
Yeah.
can't be on the field for 120 snaps a game. So, how do you approach Travis Hunter and going forward in his unique skill set if you were his head coach, if you were evaluating him and drafting him?
And I would ask, what specific team am I speaking from? Like
Well,
which perspective?
now
Because I
that's
think that dictates a lot
important
for
too.
me as well. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So
Because if you're a team that's set at corner, you might
exactly.
want to pencil him in as a wide receiver or vice
Yep.
versa.
Yeah. So that was my only thing. I feel like if I am speaking from the perspective of a team that has a hole at wide receiver and I feel good about my corners, the Browns. Yeah, I'm putting him at wide receiver first, and I'm going to create that as his home base while also creating packages for him on third downs at least to start out because I think he's too valuable, too talented of a weapon, but I don't want to overuse him. So the focus would be offense, wide receiver, weapon, and then situational sub package corner. And I think that that would not put too much on his plate while also allowing him to get an opportunity to see if he can do this. And if he can do it consistently, well, then I'll expand upon that. I'm not going to just start it off like I was at college where it was literally 100% on both sides of the field. But I do feel if my offense needs that wide receiver upgrade, that talented playmaker, that's where I'm going to start him at. And he's going to moonlight on defense. Now, say I am a different team that feels good about my wide receivers, not great, but feel good about them. And defensively, I have questions at the corner spot. I'm starting him at corner, and I think it's a lot easier for him to play wide receiver. It's so easier in my eyes for Travis Hunter to transition to wide receiver, even though he will be lacking detail in his route running. When you talk about his athleticism, his catch radius, and his just explosiveness, that's the reason why even George Pickens, to an extent, is able to have as much success without being the most refined route runner. It's verticals and back shoulders. It's catch and run. Travis Hunter can do that and do that at a very high level. And I think that that's easy for him to be packaged into defensively. It's confidence, it's technique, it's not getting highly penalized. It's living through the penalty, even if you deserved it or not. It's living through the one time or two times when that guy makes this spectacular catch. Can you go back the next play? Are you going to be like the majority of the population and pout and say, oh my God, I'm embarrassed. No, I can't go back out there and play defense on this guy because he mossed me. Oh my God, what am I going to do? No, you got to have a short memory and say next play, man. And those are the things that we've seen at this level guys still struggle with. Heck, we've had Pittsburgh Steelers where you've seen confidence get shot from year one to year two, and dudes never really be able to recover from that. And those are the things that I'm cautious in, very mindful of with Travis. But I just think that it's a lot easier for him to have the feel good, for him to have the success, for him to have the quick pop on offense. But defensively is where I think, talent wise, I think he could really be special. And I think his instincts are more natural over there in terms of his vision, his break, his anticipation, his ball skills. But we know, man, corner is the hardest position to play in the National Football League outside of quarterback, man. Athletically, that is the most challenging position to play on the field. And it's just the rules aren't really set up for those guys to be successful either, man. So we know how it goes, man. And it's some absolute unicorns out here, some freaks, man. It's some dudes that can really go, can really get it. And once you start falling in that hole, man, of bad things happen, it's just tough to get up out of here at that position. Whereas a wide receiver, man, you could drop three, go catch you a touchdown, a bomb, nobody cares.
Right,
Nobody
exactly right.
cares. You know
Exactly
how it
right.
is, man. Wide receiver is like pass rusher on defense. Pass rushers, man, you could miss 10 tackles again. You get that strip sack, yo, you balled out. Wide receiver, you could drop 4 passes. You catch
Dude,
that
you're
60-yard
100%
bomb,
right.
you balled out. Whereas at corner, you can't be like that. You can't get a pick and then give up 2 touchdowns at the end. Nah. You can't give up the bomb. You can't. You have
You and
to
I
be
talk
perfect.
about
Yeah.
you and I talk about the Darrell Revis, Randy
Come
Moss
on,
all the
man.
time.
Yeah.
If you
Like,
go back and
what?
watch that famous
Watch the game. Watch
where
the game.
Randy Moss cooked Darrell Revis for one 40 or 50-yard touchdown, and everybody goes back to that play. Moss did nothing the rest of the game.
Nothing else in the game.
Revis shut Randy Moss down
Nothing
for
else in the game.
59 and a half minutes.
But he
that
caught the
one
bomb.
play
He
is all
caught the
people,
bomb.
that one
They
play is
show
all
that
people
bomb
remember.
all the time.
So
They show it all
Moss
the
had
time.
a great game, and Revis had a terrible game.
Come on, man. And they gonna say, man, when you get 50 yards in the touchdown, that means you won the matchup. Sure, then. Okay, guys. All right. The other 65 plays don't matter. I got you. Okay.
And final thing with that, too, that I'd like to ask you from Travis Hunter's perspective, because I'm not naive. This would be in my mind, too, if I were Travis Hunter. The top percent of wide receivers in the NFL make a lot more money than the top percent of corners in the NFL, too.
Mm-hmm.
Jamar Chase is making over $40 million a year, a little over $40 million a year. Pat Surtain is making $23, $24, $25 million a year. Is that in your mind at all if you're Travis Hunter as well? It has to be, right?
It's no different than why you want to play left tackle instead of right tackle. We could lie about it all we want. It's the reason why you want to rush on the left side versus the left tackle versus rushing on the right side versus the right tackle. You get paid more when you're at the prominent position. Everybody knows that. There's no secret to that, man. There's no surprise to that. That's why if you're on defense, you'd rather be outside linebacker than inside linebacker. Duh. So outside corner over a slot corner. Everybody know what this is, man. So when I think of that, it's like, yeah, Travis Hunter is aware of that. Even though you don't make it a priority in your thought process, you are still aware of it because we all have the same goal. You want to be able to provide for your family. You want to be able to be financially secure when you're done with this thing. You want to be able to rest and say, man, I'm proud of what I accomplished. I'm proud of the, wealth I was able to accumulate for myself, for my family, for my children's. Like, those are the things that you're trying to get accomplished. So yes, no different than you deciding to get in IT versus you working in construction, or you deciding to work in, music industry versus working as a teacher. We're all trying to position ourselves to be compensated to the best of our abilities within reason to our peace and our happiness. So yeah, to a degree, he is going to be aware of that. But I think if he truly wants to be a corner instead of a wide receiver, that would take priority over the paycheck. And I say that just, like I said, from kind of personal experiences with that, man, and other guys who've been a part of it. When you're able to play multiple positions, man, it's fun. But at the same time, we all have that one that's our true passion. Even if we might not be the most, physically positioned for that, we just know, like, yo, I like this position. We saw with Tim Tebow. Tebow, go play tight end, man. You can be a great tight end, man. You got the physical traits to be an unbelievable tight end. I want to play quarterback. Think about that, right? Mm-hmm. Want to play quarterback. How many times do we talk about hey, all right, would you switch positions and go play wide receiver? No, I don't want to do that. I'm in this position. Or would you switch from wide receiver to play running back, Deebo Samuel? Hey, I mean, this is cool, but I really want to be a wide receiver. I know I could be a great running back, though, because of my size, my agility, my toughness. I know I can play that, but I really want to be a wide receiver, though.
Sure.
Like, everybody has that. And I just think for Travis, man, I don't know if that's corner or if that is wide receiver. But hopefully for, his pocket's sake is wide receiver because they pay a lot better on that side. All right. But you also age out better on that side. It doesn't kill you when you lose a step as a wide receiver, as long as you become more skilled with your craft of route running. Whereas at corner, when you stop running in them 4.3s and 4.4s, it gets dangerous for you in a hurry. You could be a 4.6 wide receiver. You can't be a 4.6 corner.
No.
You could be a 4.5 wide receiver. You can't be a 4.5 corner.
That's what I
Four
mean. Like
fours are under out there, bro.
the margin for
Yeah,
error is so much smaller, and the potential
absolutely, man.
earnings are so much smaller. But you're right. At the same time, you don't want to cut your nose off to spite your face. If the
Yeah.
cornerback side is your better way of having a long, productive, lucrative NFL career, you don't want to shut the door on that either. So that makes a lot of sense. I think all of that about Travis Hunter is well stated for you. And again, a lot of this will obviously depend on where he ends up on draft day, but it will be an interesting story to follow nonetheless. Okay, let's see here. We still got about 5 minutes before we got the
Good.
break.
I'm about to say, stop rushing us, man. I'm trying to chill with you today, man. We ain't got no March
Uh,
Madness tonight.
so let me ask
Or
you.
do
No, we
we?
don't. We don't. But Final
No,
Four
we
this
don't. Yeah, I'm about to say
weekend, and
Final
then
Fours. Yeah,
national
coming up.
championship on Monday, baby. That's why it's going to line up for Aaron Rodgers to make the big announcement Tuesday. Monday, national
Duh.
championship game. Aaron Rodgers Tuesday. Beautiful.
Duh.
One of the things that I wrote down that I wanted to ask you about is you. When we did our draft exercise a couple weeks ago, you had Marion Hampton, the running back out of North Carolina. North Carolina, much like Petey Pablo raising up. Um, over, listen, I don't want to say universal consensus because that's never the case. You're not the only person, but I think pretty widely consensus Ashton Genty as the number one guy for most people. So Arthur Nathan Moats III, decade of NFL experience, Professor Moatsy. Why do you prefer Mr. Hampton to Mr. Genty?
If we're talking just as a prospect, yeah, Ashton Genty is the better player. We're talking about for the Steelers, though. I have Jalen Warren and Kenneth Gainwell. Ashton Genty is more in line with those guys. Omarion Hampton looks very different than all three of those guys.
Boy, does
While
he
also
ever.
giving me 4.4 speed. He's Najee, but faster. What am I missing in my running back room right now? He's out in LA with the Chargers. Or he's in Arizona with the Cardinals. Which one you want me to go with, right? The other one, I don't know where he's at right now. He be outside a little too much. I ain't even go that route.
He's
But,
got some other stuff going on.
got some other stuff going on right now, so I'm gonna chill on him, man. But as a whole, that's what I need. So yeah, if I'm just, a random team, or if I don't have running backs already on my roster, I'm taking Ashton Genty, and I'm not thinking twice about it. I love his vision. I love his quick feet. I love his ability to get in and out of his cuts. I love his ability to catch out the backfield, his ability to stand in there and block as well. But when I am thinking about what the Steelers need, and specifically what brand of football we want to present, Genty, Warren, and Gainwell aren't going to be able to give me that blunt force trauma that I'm looking to deliver. You look at DK, you look at GP. We're not looking finesse right now. We're not looking real. Oh man, those are more of
Look at what we've invested in the trenches
Hey
too.
man, these are guys that are gonna smoke and mirror you to death. No. We're trying to punch you in the mouth, man. Like that's what we're building. We're trying to punch you in the mouth. Omarion Hampton will punch you in the mouth while also having the speed to go the distance. That was our biggest complaint with who? Najee Harris.
Yep, not a home run hitter, right?
He effectively answers that. So that's the big reason why for me, I'm leaning Omarion Hampton. But I blame your friend. I blame your West Virginia guy, Terrence Garvin. Talk with him as well, man. And, because he was obviously on my show on the podcast, man, the Arthur West Experience. And, with him, he brought up the fact that we know that Coach Tomlin loves physicality. We know that he wants to build a bully. And there is a possibility that Jahad Campbell from Alabama, the freakazoid 6'3", 235-pound inside-outside linebacker that can cover, that can play the run, that could also go outside and rush the passer. Where's number 11? Just like the Micah Parsons and Abdul Carters of the world as well, played at Bama. He love an SEC linebacker. He's like, man, that's the type of dude that he could also see just due to where we currently are sitting, and then maybe going to get a Travion Henderson or another big body back in the third round. When I think of that, I'm like, I could for certain talk myself into that as well, because Coach Tomlin wants a bully. He wants to be able to punch you in the mouth, and that is how we win so much football in the National Football League. So that's the big reason why I would say Omarion Hampton, or why I've been saying Omarion Hampton over Ashton Genty for the Steelers, even though I feel Genty is a better player.
I got you. Makes sense.
I just feel like, man, the upside that I'm going to get from Genty versus what I'm going to get from Omarion Hampton in our scheme, I think it evens out. And that's the part for me that makes me lean on Marion Hampton.
That answer makes a lot of sense. I have one follow-up that I want to ask you, but I don't want anything to rush here. So we're going to go to break. I'll ask Moats that running back follow-up. I'll also ask him the quarterback draft question that I have for him as we sit here about 3 weeks away from the start of the 2025 NFL Draft up in Green Bay, Wisconsin. We will take
Wisconsin.
We will take our first break of the first hour here. Some more draft talk as we roll along. It's the Steelers Blitz on Steelers Nation Radio on the Steelers Audio Network. Penultimate segment of the day here on the Steelers Blitz. Penultimate segment of the week as we are rocking and rolling in November. It is, of course, NFL Draft Month. And with that, I had some NFL Draft questions for Arthur Moats. If you missed it, we discussed Travis Hunter, how you would kind of handle him, the skill set, the wide receiver, the cornerback.
Heisman Trophy winner.
Heisman Trophy winner, dual threat, Travis Hunter. And obviously how a lot of those answers depend upon what team drafts him and just how he performs in camp and things like that. We also talked some running backs and Steelers preferences specifically and why, from a black and gold perspective, Omarion Hampton is the guy for Arthur Moats. I wanted to follow up with you on this one. Because I think, you and I both agree, there is a great chance Omarion Hampton's going to be a first-round draft pick. Could certainly be there for the Steelers at 21, but I don't think any scenario, unless he goes and gets himself in some serious trouble or some crazy medical thing pops up, that he's going to be there in the third round when the Steelers are making their second pick of the draft. Mm-hmm. So if the Steelers don't go running back, and we don't need to have that conversation, would you go? I don't want to go there. Would you go Hampton at pick 21? The whole running back thing, I just feel like we've had that conversation so many times. What I want to know is if pick 21 rolls around, you don't go running back there. Maybe Hampton's off the board, maybe he's not, but you don't go running back at pick 21. You go D-line, you go linebacker, you go wherever, defensive back, wide receiver, maybe quarterback as well too. Do you have a guy that you would prefer the Steelers outside of the top two big names in Genty and Hampton? You know, you mentioned Judkins, or was it Judkins there that you mentioned, or Travion Henderson, I think?
Henderson. Mm-hmm.
There's the Ohio State guys. I mean, a lot of people like Cam Scattaboo. Is there okay, if we have to wait till day 2 to get the running back, is there a name that you like more than the others?
I mean, yeah, but I don't know if he's going to be there either. Caleb Johnson. Don't think he's going to be there that far down.
From Iowa, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like I said, Caleb Johnson, Travion Henderson, those are my two that I would like. And if not those guys, give me, was it Otto Gordon? Or
Ollie Gordon?
Ollie Gordon out of Oklahoma State. Yeah, I'll take a flyer on him. Used to be nice, fell off last year. But he was stupid nice, supposed to be a Heisman Trophy type of dude, L. Bell type of dude. Yeah, I'm intrigued by it. I would take a flyer on that. But I would say one of those three, though.
Yeah, I like that call by you. Ollie Gordon's an interesting, like, if you get to the final day of the draft and you still don't have it, because you're right. I mean, he might have been a first round pick if he came out a year ago. He
had major juice a year ago. Bro. This year, that team was god awful, and his numbers were god awful. And that's what makes everybody look at him like, what's going on? But he wasn't hurt. And that was the interesting part. I'm torn. I'm like, if you were hurt, at least it gives us a legitimate excuse. But if you're hurt as a running back, we can't touch you. But it's like, man, you couldn't have just fallen off a cliff that bad, right?
No, and I see him so far down on some people's big boards.
Seriously, man.
All the other Big 12 running backs, R.J. Harvey out of UCF, Devin Neal out of Kansas, Giddens out of Kansas State. All of who I can be intrigued by, and I am for different reasons.
Mm-hmm.
Like, dude, none of those guys had the juice like Ollie Gordon when he was going. And
that's all I'm saying, man.
I realize he did not have the year last year, but my goodness, they played like 3 or 4 different quarterbacks. Their offensive line was decimated. Moats, they lost like 9 straight games. They had the worst season that Oklahoma State football has had in the 21st century. It was their worst season in 2 decades. Their worst season in the 21st century.
But they coach, he's a man. All right. So if you're going to bring up anything, you talk to him about it.
Like they were a sexy pick to win the Big 12 coming into this season, and they didn't win a single Big 12 game. He was
a Heisman favorite.
They went preseason
Heisman. He was a preseason Heisman favorite, man.
In the Big 12. So listen, I understand he played a role in that. He's a part of that, obviously. But like, dude, I'm looking right now. Pro Football Focus has him as the 23rd best running back in this draft class. He ain't the 23rd best
Crazy.
running back in this
That is crazy to think,
draft
man.
class. So yeah, I'd be intrigued by that as well too. And that's why I I'm okay waiting until the third or fourth round, I think, to get a running back because this feels like a group that has a lot of guys at that position that we're gonna like or that would be able to do a good job for the Steelers in tandem with Warren and Gainwell.
Like I
Maybe
said,
we
definitely
will.
my mindset.
And there's also Taj Brooks out of Texas Tech, who's a big body, Big 12 running back. Well, as we get closer to the draft, we'll do some deep dive on the position groups because there's a lot to talk about with these running backs and a lot of guys who have a skill set that would fit what you're looking for from your Pittsburgh Steelers. But I do want to round out this exercise, the NFL draft exercise of the day, finishing up with quarterbacks. And I like how we save the quarterbacks for last. They usually lead off these conversations, those prom kings. But we made them wait a little bit here today, Mozi. And the question that I had for you was this. When we did our exercise, when we did this exercise a couple weeks ago when we were kind of picking as the Steelers, when it came to our quarterback selections, you took Shedeur Sanders, I took Cam Ward. I ask you, and I should make sure, is Shedeur Sanders your number one quarterback on your big board?
Yeah, just like Shador. Heck yeah.
So, tell me what you like about Shedeur that makes him your number one, and then who is, I guess I could have just waited to ask you the follow up, but who would be your number two?
Man, I'm just a Shador fan. I love his dad. So the fact that he's nice and his dad was my favorite player, I'm biased infinitely. But I also like his decision making. I like his quick release. I like how decisive he is with the football. I like the fact that he is extremely tough because when you think about the amount of times he was getting hit or sacked while at Colorado behind a very piss poor offensive line, he was still a very common and consistent factor for them in terms of being productive and overall his leadership. People tried to get upset about him just saying simple things in media settings. But the thing that I love was that you never saw him, from my eyes, do anything that would make me question him as a on-field leader, even a sideline leader. And that's the thing that you want to see. Guys that aren't afraid to be out front, guys that aren't afraid to lead, guys that aren't afraid to make a mistake. That is the thing that in the sports world, man, it's frustrating at times. Guys are so scared to mess up that they never play to their full potential. They never try to be out front. They never want to be the first in line. They got to see somebody else do it. I got to watch you do it. Let me copy you. Hey, you messed it up, so now that gives me an excuse. Man, leave me alone with that mindset. And Shador, he has the mindset of a lion. I'm the leader. I'm the pride of this group, man. Follow me. I might not be perfect, but watch what I'm able to do. Watch the things that I do extremely well. And I also think of the fact that, man, he has the Brady. That's the connection. You talk about how those guys have had a dynamic relationship, man, a relationship that is dated back to him in high school. And to me, I look at Brady as one of the best quarterbacks to ever have played this game. To me, I think he's the best quarterback to ever play the game. I know Mahomes is making a comeback or trying to make his case for it. And I think talent-wise, he makes a great point or a great case. But to me, I'm taking Tom Brady as it still stands today. Now, with that, though, when I think of his imprint on Shador, when I think of that mentality and how he would operate countless times in the clutch, countless times when it was time to be precise, when all the chips were pushed to the table, that man's pulse never increased. That guy never acted out of character. And when I look at Shador, I just see a lot of similarities with that. Not saying that Cam Ward can't do very similar things. I think of Cam Ward no different than Peyton Manning or Aaron Rodgers. Infinitely more talented, right? What he could do with the football, with his arm angles and athleticism, holy cow. But there's a reason why Tom Brady is still viewed as Tom Brady in comparison to how we view Aaron Rodgers and Peyton Manning, who I personally feel were more talented as throwers of the football than Tom Brady. But Tom Brady is Tom Brady for a reason. And I'm going to stand on that until the cows come home. And like I said, the other guy that's making the case is Mahomes, but he still got some work to do. And that's, when I look at Shador, I just think that he gives me more of that. And ultimately, that's what I'm looking for. But if not him, then yeah, Cam Ward is definitely the number two because now I'm just going to simply say talent over all that other stuff. But to me, I think Shador's talent is close enough. And with all those other things that I just listed off, that's why I lean Shador.
I think it's I think it's an incredibly like interesting conversation.
Which one do
And
you like? That's the real question. Yeah, yeah.
I lean towards Cam Ward, and the reason so is just because when I look at the quarterbacks in this class, and I don't think that there's necessarily a Caleb Williams. It sounds funny to say, right? Because
All
neither of them,
right.
but like
Uh-huh.
A Caleb Williams or a Trevor Lawrence in this
Uh-huh.
class, right? But I also look at a lot of the quarterbacks in this league and think if they land in this class and think if they land in the right spot, they can have success. I don't know if we're going to be talking about any of them like they're Tom Brady, or Patrick Mahomes one day. But
Right.
I think a lot of them can have long, successful Pro Bowl, win a Super Bowl type careers because I think they have very unique and useful and modern skill sets. And so a lot
I
of it
like
is
how you
going to
put that
depend on
modern skill
modern
sets.
skill sets. They have the arm talent with that mobility element as well too that we all like that to be able to strike that balance. Um, and so I know a lot of people have been very down on this quarterback class. And listen, I'm not trying to say I think it could be like last year's or anything like that. But I think Shador Sanders and Cam Ward are worthy first round picks, and they both will be. And even if Jackson Dart's a first round pick, like I don't think that is some massive
You
reach
throwing
as
you
well
throwing Tyler
too.
Shuck in there as well too?
If he was
Get a little four piece
22,
in the
if he
first
was
round?
21, 22, 23 years old, but not at 27, second round, different conversation. But I don't know about first round for him. But yeah, I like the Cam Ward and the Shador Sanders is very, very interesting to me. And again, I think so much of it, like always, depends on where these guys land. Like you and I have talked about this before. If Baker Mayfield would have landed in Kansas City with Andy Reid, and Patrick Mahomes would have landed in Cleveland. Listen, I'm not saying
Woo.
Patrick Mahomes would have been on four different teams already,
Yeah.
and Baker Mayfield would be being talked about as one of the greats of all time, but their careers would certainly be different than they were.
Yes. Yes, they
Um,
would.
if Ben Roethlisberger was drafted by the Cleveland Browns, his home state team where everybody thought he was going to go, instead of them taking a tight end, Kellen Winslow Jr., a few picks
Come on,
before him,
man. He
Ben's
was a
career
soldier though. That's different. He was a
would have been.
soldier
He
though.
was a soldier. He was
He
a
was a
soldier,
soldier.
and
Put some respect on him.
he did have one of the more underrated, devastating WVU losses of my lifetime. Played a direct hand in that, so I don't want to talk about it. Still not over that one. But yeah, so that obviously so much of this depends on where you land and who you're drafted by, and the system, and the fit, and the development, and all of those different things. But those were Arthur Moats, the different draft things that I literally had here on a piece of paper, on a little notebook piece
Let's
of paper for the
go.
last couple weeks, that I thought, you know what, let's get into this because there could be some interesting big things that happen next week, maybe on Pat McAfee's big night
Dun
out.
dun dun.
That obviously we I did want to get to these conversations in case, or
It's
as
the
they kept it
entertainment
put to the
business.
back burner. That's exactly
Entertainers,
right.
baby.
And there will always be some stuff that happens next week. We know that. But for now, we have to get to our final break. Close it down with some tweets on the other side. You know where to get us if you want to get involved. It is the Steelers Blitz on Steelers Nation Radio on the Steelers Audio Network. Final segment of the Steelers Blitz here as we are in April. It is NFL Draft Month. Some fun conversation on the program today, but now we will turn it over to you as always. We even if you're hearing this in the loop or later in the podcast, whatever, on SNR, tweet us at Wesley Uhler at the Body 52 because I will bookmark these, and Moatsy, we will get to these as we go. Sorry, at Wesley Uhler at the Body 52.
I appreciate it. I got all sad over. I was like, no.
He jumped
I
up
really
to the
like to say
microphone,
that,
ready
though.
to lay it down. I was like, oh, wait,
Jeez,
you did
man.
tease there? But no, okay.
Oh.
Don't worry. I got you.
I appreciate you on that, man. I appreciate you. You're a real one for that, bro.
Had to make you earn it there for a couple extra seconds.
Yeah, you're a real one for that, bro.
With that, Andrew chimes in 3-question Thursday, as he likes to do during the off season. First one here is a good one. What is the easiest way to bring a smile to your face?
Me specifically?
Yeah,
Oh
yeah, yeah.
man, it's pretty simple, man. I'm a candy guy. Sour Patch Kids, me lemon heads, me baby. Yeah, yeah, can't go wrong with any of that. That always brings a smile to my face. Or when I get a text saying, "Hey, bro, we ain't got nothing to do today. You off?" What? What? I love a surprise free day. That's kind of like when you woke up on a snow day and they're like, "Hey, no school today," or if you woke up and they're like, "Hey, man, no power in the building, no school." You're like, what happened now? When's this day? All right, this is a great day. I love it. So yeah, any of that, yeah, I'm always down for that.
uh, there's two for me that really stand out. Instant reaction. One is heartfelt, and one is just reality. The reality one is for the Mountaineers to win. Okay,
Go Ears.
particularly in football, but also in men's basketball. Those are the two big ones. But even in women's basketball and soccer and baseball and rifle and all these other things. For
Y'all
the
did win one
mountain,
rifling. Shout out to them
we
riflers.
just won the national championship a couple
Come
weeks
on,
ago.
man. Shout out to them riflers.
Two national championships in the same week, cross country and rifle. How you doing? I mean, who needs football and basketball when you got those, baby?
Winners win, baby.
Obviously, in football is number one, men's basketball number two, but everything else, the easiest way to bring a smile to my face is for the Mountaineers to win. But the heartfelt one is, in Moats, I know you know this. Your kids are a little bit past this age; they're a little bit older, but you still get the more now grown sentimental moments. But dude, like when I get home from a road trip or when I pick up the girls at daycare, that feeling of your kids being excited to see you and like
There it
coming and
is.
running and
There it
giving you a
is.
big hug around the neck or around your leg or whatever. Like the WVU winning and my kids being excited to
There it
see
is.
me.
There it is.
Those are the two easiest ways to put a smile on my face.
Let's go. Let's go.
You know that feeling. You know what I'm talking about. When your
Oh,
kids are
big facts.
excited to see you and they
Big
come running
facts.
towards you. It's the
Man, you
best.
can't go wrong with the kiddos, man. Big facts or that.
Question number two from Andrew, and this is funny. This plays that we like briefly mentioned the Pirates a couple minutes ago. Andrew says, I need to know what one of these categories of Bucko fan you fall into.
Mm.
A will go to the game if Skeens is pitching. B will go to the game no matter what. Or C will not go to a game.
I'll go to the game no matter what. Yeah, if the moment's right and I'm feeling good about it, I'll go. I don't care who's pitching. Like I obviously will try to schedule it around Skeens, but yeah, I've definitely been. I mean, even last year, it was cool to go like see Skeens, but man, we went multiple times without him. Like especially when the weather is nice. Like the park is fire, man. It's a beautiful view. It's a fun atmosphere, and if you catch him with the right team out there, man, we caught him playing the Mets. And it was a dope game. That was the game where they broke the record with the like amount of home runs. They ran out of fireworks. Like that was cool. Then we went to another one. It was like, oh man, all right, this was cool too. And they were very different experiences than one where they actually lost. And it was like, it was still a blast. But I'm definitely there. I just love sports, and I love live
And
sports. And I think that's for me. Like being in
yeah.
person there, I could watch every Pirate game in person versus me trying to watch it on TV versus me even
Isn't
wanting to
that
talk
that's
about it.
kind
You
of
know what I
like
mean?
isn't that
Yeah.
kind of ingrained in the sport and the culture of baseball?
I
Is
feel
it's
like it
just
is, right?
like it's a fun summer day out with the family, with the
Yeah.
friends, with the kids, with
Like they
whatever.
got them 12 o'clock games, those 6 o'clock. I'm like, man, it's nothing to go. Just I'm gonna catch this one, get in the shade, but we're gonna catch this 12 o'clock one. They're like, this is fun, and the skyline is beautiful downtown, man. So
I
yeah, I'm definitely in that
I'm
category,
with you.
man.
I've never seen Skeens pitch yet, and I would like to at some point.
Yeah,
Try and knock that out at some point this
it is
summer.
electric though. Holy
But
smokes!
yeah, I don't. And with the third category of never goes to a Buccos game, I think Andrew kind of means like in the protest along the lines of like
Yeah,
I'm not
I ain't
gonna.
on that. Yeah,
I don't spend enough of my income on the
I was about to
Pirates
say,
for me to move that
yeah.
needle at
I'm
all.
not invested enough in them to.
I go to maybe
Yeah.
one game a year. Like I'm not moving anybody's bottom
I'm about to
line.
say in 5 games tops. You know what I mean? Like I would love to go to more, but it's just like they're not a
Like yeah,
priority like that for me, man. Yeah,
my cousins from West Virginia or Virginia come visit. We'll go to a game. It's a
basically, yeah. People come into town, take them to the
nice
game.
summer
Yep,
afternoon, and some people come into town, take the kids to the
yep.
game. That's the kind of just my Bucko fandom and all of those things. But that was a funny one there. As
Shout
we
out to the
kind of
Bucks though, man. It's too cold for me right now, man. As much as I want to maybe pop up for the home opener, I'm like, man, I like it high 70s,
same.
borderline eight, like
I
high
like it to feel like
70s.
base. I want it to feel like baseball weather.
Yeah, I don't want to feel cold. I don't want to feel like I need a hoodie and pants. Like I want to feel good the whole time I'm out there, but I don't want to be just like miserably sweating either. So that's why I was like high 70s, very, very low 80. All right. 80 with overcast. 80 with some shade, some clouds.
Last one from Andrew here. This is a good one. At what age did you really start to feel like an adult?
Mm, Probably like 27, 28. Realistically, yeah. It was like after I had my yeah, it was after the second one. Yeah, because then I was like, oh, we already had responsibilities. We were already married, kid, you know what I mean? But then you had that second one. And then it was because we were relocating too. And I think that was what did it for me. I was like, oh man, like, because Buffalo still felt like college to me. I felt like, oh man, I just graduated from college. I'm just going right back to another college. Like it just felt collegey. But then you go to Pittsburgh, I'm like, oh, this is like different. This is like Coach Tomlin. This is Dick LeBeau. Oh, you wear like suits when you go to the games here. Oh, this is like important stuff. And from there, man, having to go through that process of, all right, me and my wife trying to find, all right, where we want to live at. Because once again, what did I say earlier? You get the call, you drive it, and it's like, all right, we're here now. Go figure it out, guys.
Mm-hmm.
So going through that process as, married, two kids, wife, you know what I mean? Like, yeah. That really hit me of like, oh yeah, I think I'm a whole adult now, bro. This is like really some grown up stuff. And now it's like constantly a reminder, like when I gotta pay a bill or it's taxes, I'm like, oh yeah, you an adult now, bro. You really doing some adult stuff now, bro.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah, like a good question. Like, when did you feel like an adult? That's a good question because that's a little different than like I guess starting to feel older.
Right, yeah, because older versus an adult is different. Like, yeah.
Like I think I probably started to feel like an adult when I was like 25 when I worked for the hockey team because I moved to a different state by myself, didn't know anybody.
It's something about that move, bro.
Like
That move hit
I have no
different, bro.
roommate, I have no parents,
Yeah.
I have no like it's just me, my apartment. I'm on the road like 7-8 months a year with the hockey team.
Yeah.
But that's probably when I started to feel like an adult. But similar, like same with you, dude. I will never forget for whatever reason. I still remember when I turned 28 in Indiana. It
Hmm.
was like my second or third combine when I
Yeah.
turned 28 in Indianapolis, and I didn't have any. I was married. Morgan and I were married and
Hmm.
everything. Like we owned a place at this point, but we had no kids. We still, it's still been another like year and a half, 2 years before
Yeah.
we had our first child. But I remember being at dinner on my 28th birthday in Indianapolis and being like, man, 28? Like this kind of feels like, all right, man, like we're a
Like I'm
full-blown
we're
adult. There's no
yeah,
more like,
bro.
just a kid. Like that's long gone. You are 28, man.
Like, bro, it was like the randomest stuff. It was just kind of like, yo, you're really responsible for like your daughter's insurance.
Like,
Like,
yes.
oh my
Like,
God. Like it literally like that, like was like, whoa. Because I'm like, in my mind, even with the lockout, remember we had an NFL lockout, man. I was on
mhm.
my dad's insurance, man, as an NFL player. I'm like, hey, dad, hey, favorite son, you got this lockout, gotta get some insurance. Appreciate you. Shit, man. So for me, like, it's that type of stuff where it's just like, dude, like, I really got responsibilities, like, and not just for me. Like, oh man, it just hit different. Yeah, even now, man, it's like I'm used to it. I'm sure you are to an extent as well. But I'm sure there's still times where you sit back and you're like,
Oh,
bro, I'm really responsible for lives. Like, I make the decisions. Do y'all know who y'all are talking to? Let me tell you about 16-year-old Arthur Mose. Let me tell you about 13-year-old Arthur Mose. Like, this is the guy at 37 is making all these decisions. Yeah, Wes. Me and you joke about it because me and you know a little bit of our backstories a little bit better. Yeah, yeah. It trips me out every day. I'm like, oh, whew. Yeah, you still doing that? Man, shout out to you, man. You fooling them all, man. All right, you doing a great job.
of all the craziest things that happen in this
Oh,
country, Arthur Moats, the craziest is that they let me have multiple children. I mean, there's
I'm
nothing
like, bro,
nothing
I have
crazier in this country than the fact that
responsibilities.
I'm allowed to have not one but two. human
Y'all
lives that
said
I'm
I get to
responsible
make
for.
decisions. I make the final say so. Oh no, how we get here?
How we get here? I mean,
How
who
we
would
get
let this
here?
happen? In
How did
fact,
we get here?
whoever is president next should campaign on the fact that why are we letting
Seriously,
people like Wes Euler have kids? What are we doing?
man, what is going on? Like, all right, so
Oh
yeah,
shoot, that's
shout
a
out to
good one.
adulthood. Shout out to adulthood, bro.
That's a good
Yeah.
laugh to wrap up the show today. Thanks to everybody for rocking and rolling with us, for tweeting. We'll get to some more tweets next week. You guys know where to get at us if you want to get involved. But thanks to everybody, Power Grid Megawatts, for continuing to rock and roll with us through at this draft process. Oh, we might also have a special guest on the show next week. I'll keep you posted.
Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers.
Not
You
Aaron
see, he
Rodgers,
dropped
okay?
the cat out the bag. You seen it. The same way he knew about Ireland. He knows about
Not Aaron. Let me be very
Aaron.
clear with this. Not Aaron Rodgers. But I
West
think we're gonna have
said
a
we
special
got
guest on the show
Aaron
next week, which
Rodgers.
will be a lot of fun. We will have more Aaron Rodgers talk. That I can guarantee you. This I promise you. So enjoy the weekend, everybody, and we'll catch back up with you next week. As always, a big thank you and a big shout out to the best co-host in the business, Arthur Nathan Moats III.
Who, me?
Take care, everybody. Be good. Enjoy the weekend, and we'll talk to you soon. You know where to find us. As always, it's on your 24/7 home of the black and gold.
Steelers Nation Radio on the Steelers Audio Network.